Story 1. Missing Persons Poster in Berkeley-Jackson County Park. In early October 2016, James Rankin, an avid hiker, decided to explore the dense woods of Berkeley-Jackson County Park. Known for its serene beauty and winding trails, the park is a favorite spot for nature enthusiasts. James hiked for hours, soaking up the quiet atmosphere of the forest. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows through the trees, when he stumbled upon something that made his blood run cold. Deep in the woods, James stumbled upon an old abandoned campsite. The remains of a once-used fire pit and scattered camping gear suggested that someone had spent quite a bit of time there. But it wasn't the campsite itself that was disturbing. It was what surrounded it. Several trees surrounding the campsite were covered with missing person posters, each depicting a different individual from a different state across the United States. The posters, old and water-damaged, appeared to be authentic, depicting real missing people with dates stretching back years. Shocked and unsettled, James quickly pulled out his phone and began recording the strange scene. His voice trembled as he recounted his discovery, panning the camera to capture the series of creepy posters. "We're deep in the woods," he said, his breath audible in the cool air. "These are missing person posters. They're real. Look at this one, Utah, Florida, Georgia. They're all different, and they're all old, some from 2012. In the middle of the campsite, a rusty shovel sat ominously next to a fire pit. James couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister had happened there. He left the campsite in a hurry, intending to report his findings to the authorities. When he did, the police investigated but concluded that it was probably a sick Halloween prank, despite the authenticity and age of the posters. Satisfied with the dismissal, James returned to the site later that year. This time, he found several no trespassing signs hastily taped to trees around the area. "I didn't violate any of these signs," he muttered to the camera, clearly frustrated. They were homemade, not even laminated, just masking tape. The police closed their investigation, and with the new trespassing signs, it seemed like someone wanted to keep people away. The mystery of the missing person posters remains unsolved, and James is haunted by the memory of his discovery. Chilling reminder of the hidden darkness that can lurk even in the most peaceful places. Story 2. Strange noises in Mission, Oregon. In January 2013, Phil Poling, a resident of Mission, Oregon, experienced something that baffled him and his community. Late at night, around 11 p.m., Phil first heard unsettling noises. They were unlike anything he had ever heard before. Eerie, almost otherworldly sounds that seemed to echo throughout the quiet neighborhood. Curiosity and a sense of unease prompted Phil to grab his camera and venture outside. He lived on the edge of town where urbanization gave way to dense forest. As he approached the tree line, the noises grew louder, more distinct. They sounded almost like laughter, but with an eerie, animal-like quality. January 21, around 11 p.m., Phil recorded, his voice a whisper. "I was a few hundred feet from my house, and you could hear that noise behind me. It sounded weird, like a dog, like a hyena." The sound seemed to be getting closer, a fact that made Phil even more nervous. He continued recording the strange auditory phenomenon for several minutes. Just as he was starting to wonder if he should turn back, the night was broken by the sharp crack of a gunshot echoing from deep in the woods. "I think it was a gunshot," Phil whispered, his voice trembling. "There it is again." Phil wasn't the only one who heard the noise. Over the past 2 months, several other residents had reported hearing similar strange noises at night. Some speculated it was a wild animal, maybe a coyote. Others thought it might be pranksters trying to scare people. But the gunshots added a new, terrifying dimension to the mystery. Despite numerous theories, no one could pinpoint the exact source of the sounds. Local authorities investigated, but found no evidence of unusual wildlife or suspicious activity. The noises continued to sporadically, leaving the community on each new incident only deepened the mystery, leaving Phil and his neighbors wondering what was lurking in the woods. Phil uploaded his recordings to YouTube, hoping that someone would recognize the sounds and offer an explanation. The videos gained traction, with many viewers offering their own theories, but none were convincing. To this day, the source of the strange noises in Mission, Oregon, remains a mystery, a haunting puzzle that continues to trouble those who recall those unsettling nights. Story 3. Mountain bikers encounter a steel cable trap. It was a sunny afternoon in midsummer when two mountain bikers decided to ride a remote forest trail they had recently discovered. The trail was challenging, with twists and turns that promised an exhilarating ride. The dense forest provided a cool relief from the heat, the canopy above filtering the sunlight into dappled patterns on the ground. The bikers, adrenaline junkies at heart, revved their engines and raced along the trail, weaving through the trees at breakneck speeds. Their GoPro cameras captured every exhilarating moment, the roar of their engines blending with the sounds of the forest. They were in their element, pushing the limits of their skills and their machines. But as they rounded a bend, their adrenaline-fueled adventure took a terrifying turn. The lead cyclist spotted something glinting in the sunlight, a steel cable stretched across the road, positioned perfectly at neck level. With only a split second to react, he swerved, narrowly avoiding the deadly trap. He stopped, heart pounding, and signaled his friend to stop. The realization of what they had narrowly escaped shocked both of them. They examined the cable, noting how expertly it had been set up. It was clearly designed to be a trap for unsuspecting cyclists. The lead cyclist muttered, his voice a mixture of anger and fear. Who would do something like this? They debated whether to wait to see if the trap setter returned, but the thought of confronting someone capable of such a heinous act was too risky. Instead, they decided to record the trap on camera and report it to the authorities. The incident sent shockwaves through the local cycling community. The forest path, once a hidden gem for cyclists, had become a potential death trap. Authorities investigated, but found no clues as to who had placed the cable. The perpetrator remained at large, and cyclists still felt vulnerable. The video they captured was widely shared, serving as a stark warning to others. It highlighted the dangers that can lurk even in the most seemingly peaceful places. A reminder that not all threats come from nature itself. Cyclists continued their hobby, but with a newfound caution, always aware of the potential dangers that could lurk just around the next bend. Story 4. The mysterious house in Northern California. Marc-Andre has always been passionate about the outdoors. As the environmental services director for his Northern California town, he spends much of his time exploring the vast, pristine forests that surround the area. In February 2018, Mark was on a routine assignment, marking trees deep in the woods. The remoteness of his location was something he relished, away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, surrounded only by the quiet of nature. On this particular day, however, Mark's sense of peace was shattered by an unexpected discovery. As he walked through the dense undergrowth, he came across a seemingly out-of-place structure. A small makeshift cabin nestled among the cabin measured about 8 by 12 feet and stood about 15 feet tall. It was clear that someone had put a lot of effort into building it in such a remote location. Curiosity piqued, Mark approached the cabin. The door was locked, and there was no immediate sign of life. The structure looked like it had been recently occupied, with no signs of deterioration despite the harsh forest environment. Confused but intrigued, Mark decided to report his discovery to his colleagues. Over the next few days, Mark and a team of experts made several attempts to contact the cabin's owner. They left notes and tried to track down any signs of human activity, but to no avail. They finally decided to break the lock and enter the cabin to make sure no one was in immediate danger. What they found inside was both fascinating and eerie. The cabin's interior was meticulously arranged. It contained a potbelly stove, a small library of books, a typewriter, and shelves filled with jars and cans of food. Whoever had built and lived in this cabin had done so with great care, and despite its modest features, there were no signs of occupants. Since the cabin was built illegally, the group had no choice but to leave an eviction notice on the door. They hoped this would prompt the owner to come forward. But when they returned a few days later, the cabin had been completely demolished, leaving no trace except for an international squatter symbol drawn in graphite on a nearby tree. The abrupt disappearance of the cabin and its mysterious occupant have sparked many theories. Some believe the owner was a fugitive, hiding from authorities and living off the grid. Others speculate that it was someone seeking solitude away from society. Despite efforts to uncover the truth, the identity of the hut's owner remains unknown. If you enjoyed this creepy story, be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more creepy stories. Your support allows us to continue bringing you the best in horror entertainment. Join our community of thrill seekers by subscribing and hitting the notification bell, so you're always the first to experience our newest and scariest stories. Stay tuned and stay scared.